Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivesesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Chatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you all for coming. You're my purpose. I think Bhaktisiddhanta used to thank people when they came. He used to thank you for keeping me out of Maya for your time you come in there. And pardon me, I have a little bit of a seasonal cold, so I don't sound so clear. So I hope you can understand me. Okay, today is the 4th? Yes. 4th. April. Oh, year is going fast. So we're on our program now to try to... Sam Mohini was not apprised of why we were going so fast. We're trying to do 6-month overview, so if people want to study Bhakti Shastri, they have that. Then after that, we'll see what Krishna inspires us to do as a group or individuals. All right, so today's the 4th of April, Vrindavan, India. All right, and we're doing an overview of the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita today. So we'll start first with our prayers to the Bhagavad Gita, Gita Mahatmya. Okay, and then we'll just do our signal words. Always important to get oriented with your signal words first. So we're going to go, and then we will stop, we will wash, and then we will read, and we will never, and then drink, and then we will serve. Okay, so we can repeat along with me. One who recites this holy scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, achieves the abode of Vishnu, which is always free from the mundane qualities based on fear and lamentation. Once one enters the material atmosphere, these are concomitant factors of life in the material energy: fear and lamentation. Guaranteed. No escape for anybody. Devas, anybody. Text 2. One who is regularly engaged in the study of the Bhagavad Gita and in the practice of pranayam is never affected by the reactions of his past misdeeds. Okay. Nice offerings here. By daily taking a bath in water, one may cleanse himself from impurities. But if one takes a bath even once in the sacred water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. Such a book, huh? The Bhagavad Gita is meant for careful recitation. And then there is no need for any other scripture. Because it is directly emanated from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Krishna's, Supreme Person speaking Gita, telling us all about him. And today we're going to hear all about his opulences. Okay, by drinking the Ganges water of the Gita, the divine quintessence of the Mahabharata, emanating from Lord Vishnu's lotus mouth, one will never again take birth in the material world. Text 6. All the Upanishads are compared to a cow, and the milkman is Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda. Arjuna is the calf, and the great nectar of the Bhagavad Gita is the milk, and the fortunate devotees, the fine theistic intellect, are the enjoyers of that milk. And it's really important when you see Krishna's name, often he's shown is attached to either the son of Devaki or son of Nanda, because Krishna can also refer to Arjuna. It can also refer to Draupadi. So you'll see when they mean Krishna, they'll tell you which one. Okay, text 7. There need be only one scripture. Sri Krishna's divine Gita. Only one Lord. That same Krishna, the son of Devaki. Only one mantra, the chanting of his holy names, and only one duty, devotional service unto that Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. Okay. We're so fortunate, huh? To have the Gita in the disciplic succession, Srila Prabhupada as it is. Actually, I was listening to Srila Prabhupada say that the commentators who write on the Gita, if they're not in the disciplic succession, or if they're just academicians who are writing about Bhagavad Gita, he says it's actually a sin. It's a sin because they don't have any access to the Gita. And they actually do it a disservice and mislead people. So only an authorized, Prabhupada says, one should avoid any interpretations of the Gita because they're offensive. They're sinful. It's a serious thing, you know. Somebody else is interpreting what Krishna is trying to say about himself. Okay. So now we'll place the 10th chapter on our maps, your little magic slates. Let's just go over this section contextually. This middle section is bhakti, right? Yes. And we've almost completed it. You just have 2 more chapters, 11 and 12. Okay, so these chapters, let's just revise the sizes of those, just again, so we know, and then the chapter titles. We won't go through the whole Gita, but let's just do that. So we remember, we were using time, right, for time to remember. So chapter 7 was 7:30. You remember that one? It was 7:30. Okay. And that one is called Knowledge of the Absolute. And again, it's important by hearing. You get knowledge of the transcendence by hearing. Okay, so 7:30 is called what? Knowledge of the Absolute. Okay, then 8. And do you remember what 8 was? How many verses to that one? 28. 28. Right, this is 2 minutes before the doors open again and the lecture time. So 8, 28. You have your memory link, 8 and 8. 8:28. This one is called what? Attaining the Supreme. Okay. Okay, and last time we had chapter 9. Right? But this is 34. Okay, you're going back into the temple to do some japa. Devotionals. This is the most confidential knowledge. Most confidential knowledge. Right in the heart of the Gita, which is in the heart of the Mahabharata. And the 34th verse is in the heart of it. This is the central locket. Jewel, like 1866, repeated again. Okay? Always think of me, become my devotee. 9:34. Okay? Today, chapter 10. Okay, this one is the same size as chapter 4. This one has 42 verses. 42 verses. This one is called the opulence of the absolute. Right. So we're hearing about different aspects of Krishna. First, knowledge about him. And then we hear how to attain him. And he's giving descriptions of the spiritual world in the 8th chapter. In the 9th chapter, he's comparing many things, worshippers, non-worshippers, demigod worshippers, and devotees. He's also talking about the glories of the Gita. But now in the 10th chapter, he's defining his opulences for the sake of the people in general. Because most people, unless they're attracted already to Krishna, Arjuna is already a devotee. But for the sake of the non-devotees, he's asking, how can we think of you? What are the ways we can think of you? Because the general people have to see the transcendence in terms of something material. They can't understand something beyond the realm of perception just by description. So we're going to be hearing about all of these opulences today. And in chapter 7, we were hearing about how he's the essence of everything. He's the taste of water, the light of the sun, right, the fragrance of the earth. But here he's the best of everything. He's the best of the men, he's the best of the lions, he's the best of the mountains, he's the best of everything. Okay. This is 42 slokas. And then we're going to go into 11 next time, right? And that has 55, 11:55. Again, 5 minutes before the doors open. Those doors open again, 11:55. Okay? And that shows his universal form. That chapter is there to disprove any who claim to be Krishna. Right? If someone's claiming to be Krishna, then they have to demonstrate the universal form. Otherwise, it's an imposter. Okay. And that again is how some people who sort of like have a godly display of the Lord, you know, they can't conceive of the Lord except in material terms. So some people worship the Virat Rupa like that. Okay, you have our 2 bags for Mataji. Okay, we have 2 bags for you, Shukapriya. There you go, no problem. And then our final one in this section concludes with the goal, which is devotional service. This is one of the 2 smallest. This is 20 slokas, okay? This is devotional service. Okay, so you got, contextually again, just so we have our references. All right, so we're going to go back now to 10. 10 and 42 slokas, okay? Now this one, according to your mind maps and to your little 1881, this chapter has 4 parts, just 4 divisions, okay? So we'll just put our 4 little dots. We'll go over this quickly so we can spend a lot of time on the slokas and maybe even on purports. Because there are so many descriptions here, this chapter focuses more on definitions and mostly on descriptions. You don't get so many comparisons as you do in other chapters. In other chapters, you'll get comparisons of devotees and demigod worshippers, or worshippers or non-worshippers, or the spiritual and the material worlds. We're not getting too many slokas or purports like that. We're getting more that define the qualities. Krishna is telling you of certain qualities. He's this quality, that quality. So we're getting very nice definitions in the purports of what Prabhupada defines these qualities to be. And then, of course, we're hearing now, I think there are, I believe it's 82, at least in the study guide. It says that there are 82 opulences listed. I never stopped to count them. But you get quite a few there. Okay? Okay, so there are 4 divisions. And on your chart, and I'm going now from memory, I hope I'm right, I put O here, and I put O here. These here, the emphasis in these first section is origin. He's the origin of everything. And this O is opulences. They're all listed. Okay, what's the first O for? Origin. He's the origin of everything. He's proclaiming everything is coming from him. Okay. And then, of course, this is the most important section. I'll put a little star here. Because you have here the 4 seed verses of the Gita. The 4 Chaturshloki. Just like the Bhagavatam has 4 seed verses in the 2nd canto. Chapter 9, 33 to 36. Here in chapter 10, 108, which is easy to remember, to 111, you have the Chaturshloki. So that's very important today. We'll be going over that on our charts. We have those written out for you. And then the next one is Arjuna. We'll put an A. Arjuna's acceptance that you are Krishna, you are the Supreme, and you are all these things. And now he's going to request, please let us know how we shall think of you. If you remember from our retreat, who, what, when, where, why, and how. Right? How shall we think of you? How can we remember you? Because remembrance of Krishna is the goal of Krishna consciousness. Constant, uninterrupted remembrance of Krishna is the goal. And anything that can help us do that is critical. And also in this chapter, Prabhupada stresses that if you know more about him, you become fixed in your devotion. This is the more you know about him, you become purified and you become fixed, convinced, and like that. So Arjuna's acceptance and his request. Yeah. Okay, so we have O for origin. Okay, and the last one is his, we get the opulences listed. Okay, and then we have the Chaturshloki, and then after that, Arjuna, he's going to accept, and then he's going to request, he's going to define. So this one goes from 1 to 7, right? And he's, again, stressing who he is and how he's the origin of everything. Qualities, everything. He's the origin of everything. Obviously, our shlokas now start with 8, right? And there are 4 of them. So that goes through 11. So you have 1 to 7, how he's defining, he's the origin of everything. And then 8 to 11 are the important seed verses, okay? Now the next one goes from 12, and I think the last one's 22 slokas. Can you tell me where this one stops on your charts? 18, okay, it goes to 18. And then it goes from 19 to 42, okay, 19 to 42. 19 to 42. Okay, 12 to 18, that's not too hard to remember, even numbers. If you count by 6, you get 6, 12, 18. And then from 19 to 42 concludes all opulences. And you have 2 charts there to take you through those. One is by slokas, and the other chart is taxonomy, by categories, which is easier in a way, because you could see, oh, how many sages are there, how many animals, how many rivers, how many snakes, how many birds. So we've done that in 2 ways. Okay, origin is 1 to 7, Chaturshloki 8 to 11, Arjuna's acceptance and request 12 to 18, and the opulences of Krishna from the 19th sloka to 42. Okay, so if you'll erase that and just do it really quickly again on your slate so you aren't remembering just because you saw it. And then if you can explain it to your nearest study partner. Okay, you can explain to him, huh? Okay, hey Kanta, you can erase and do it again. And you want to tell me? Can you remember this? Erase it and do it again? Origin, okay.
1 to 7.
All right.
Second sloka.
Okay.
9 to 8 to 11.
Very good.
Next, Arjuna request.
Okay, right. He's acceptance and request.
12 to 18.
Very good. Okay. 19 to 42. Very good. Your memory's quite good, huh? You're doing really well. You understanding more now? I think so. Okay. Got it like that. Okay. And Samohini, you know this, right? You're pretty good about it. You know these? You want to tell me? Okay. Is it? Okay. Opulences, okay. 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 19 to 42, very fast, okay. Okay. Very good. Everybody clear on that now? You got the mental picture? I think it says in the study guide. Those are considered to be his energies. These are considered to be his opulences. And he's the essence in chapter 7. He's the taste and water. He's the light of the sun and the moon. He's the sound and ether. He's the essence of his energies. But here we have specific opulences. It's the comparison here. He's the best of the mountains. He's the best of the men. He's the monarch of the beasts. He's the lion. So things people can remember in the material sense. So that's the difference between energies in chapter 7 and opulences in chapter 10. And you'll even see in chapter 9 he's telling you, I'm the ritual. Remember we had that, the ritual. I'm the father. I'm the rain, right? The goal, the sustainer. So he's revealing a lot about himself. Right, right. So, but this one is complete. So opulences, and then at the end he said, "What's the need for all this? It's just a spark of my." Such a beautiful verse. It's just What's all the need for this detailed explanation? Just a spark of his splendor. We can't possibly imagine.
Brahmaji, when write Brahma Samhita?
Say it again.
Brahmaji,
Brahmaji.
when write Brahma Samhita?
When did he write the Brahma Samhita? I cannot answer that. I don't know. When I don't know when this. Do you know when the Samhita were? I do know it's only 5 out of 100 chapters were found. When Lord Chaitanya went to South India, he found chapter 5. There were 100. So this, as long as it is, it's just chapter 5 of the Samhitas. And I do know we were talking about the Samhitas the other day in terms of the Vedas, but I don't know where it would fall into that.
I heard that after Brahma, after his tapasya, he saw
all the Vedas.
And after that he started to recite it.
He recited
then.
them.
He started to recite it, but now when they have been just like as a booklet,
who has put it down in writing, right. Well, it's explained in the last canto that we heard, that when Brahma's manifestation from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he's the one too that he knows the whole Bhagavad Gita. They know everything from the beginning. Okay? So I guess it's a good question to ask. I don't know what the recorded date is for the Samhitas, or how they knew there were 100. How that there were 100? But this is the 5th one. Okay? Good question to ask scholars. We can ask some of these wives of the scholars. She wanted to know when the Samhita was spoken or recorded, Brahma Samhita. I don't know. You could maybe put the query to some of the scholars in your building. They may know. All right? So now our next stage is to open up the study guides. Do we have study guides in our trays for everybody? Okay, let's take a peek at the study guide. Again, progressively, you just drawing a picture of a tree and you add some limbs and then you put in some twigs and then you fill in the leaves and then you can add the fruits and the flowers. So your picture's full. But you always start with the skeleton. I was listening to a really old lecture by Gopi Puranadana done years ago when the VIG was in the Gurukula. And he said the same thing when he starts studying a sloka for translating. He looks for the skeleton. He looks for 2 words. He said maybe 3, but what's the subject and what's the verb? And maybe there's an object of the verb. And then when he tracks that down, then he can build. So it's like that. Any scholar knows systematic approach. It's like puzzle pieces, then you just keep filling them in. So, very, very amazing. Okay, amazing personality. So if you'll get out your study guide, then we'll see what is the next level of filling in your tree. Do you have have the page for that? For everybody, you have the page offhand?
Chapter 10?
Chapter 10's summary. Yeah, this is overview breakdown. Okay? 49? Everybody have that? Page 49, is that correct? Okay. Okay, so again, if we just read through text, we all know the problem that we face. We can't digest it. So we have to be selective as we read. We select key words. And I think I had mentioned before, I'll write the numbers so you can see them also. Analysts have shown that in a page, 35% of the words are called content, and the rest are filler words. They just glue that holds it together. So a wise reader looks for the key words first, so he can get the points. They should highlight. You highlight it in your mind. Your selective reading. Then, when you're reading, it's the next step. It's natural. You've already done the work. You've thought about it. You've selected the points. So if we have here chapter 10, we have your 4 breakdowns, the sections which you know. You've now committed that to memory. And you have a general summary. Summarizing is a skill. How to put everything into 1 or 2 sentences. And again, if you know points, you can do it. You can actually do it easily. Okay, so let's put you all to some research work here. Your first sentence is the first line. Okay, now what I'd like each of you to do on your own is see what you think. First, who it's about, who's speaking. Okay, and then what is he doing? The verb, right? Who's the subject of this sentence? All right, and what's the verb? He's describing, right. So already, just do a little thinking in advance, because we can read it, but it just becomes like everything else. So now Krishna's describing, and then there's an object. Remember I said, Gopi said there were 3 things he looked for. So what's he describing? Devotional service. And then he's adding in, at the end, specifically where? At the end of chapter 9. He's giving you, if you remember last time we did chapter 9, it was this supremacy, or actually the glories. Chapter 8 was the supremacy. Chapter 9 ends with the glories of devotional service from 27 through 34. So here he's describing devotional service, especially at the end of chapter 9. Okay, now don't look at that and tell your neighbor what that sentence says. Because you can. You picked up, if you know the subject, you know the verb, you know the object. Okay? So this is, this is just the way to read. Because reading becomes very active this way. Okay, she's your partner there, okay? You work with Mataji there, okay? Okay. Okay, can you do it? Yeah, it's very simple, isn't it? Find your subject. That's how they translate. Find your verb. Actually, that's how we were training little Raghav how to diagram sentences, right? Find the subject, find the verb, find your objects. Everything else fits into place like a jigsaw puzzle, and every word has to go somewhere. Gopi Puranadana was saying in this lecture that he said Sanskrit scholars have observed that in Sanskrit, the position doesn't matter. The word will tell you. You can almost put them anywhere. But by the nature of the word, you'll know what it's supposed to do. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. But every word has to fit. There's no word that was just thrown in. They're really expert. Okay, so your subject is who? Krishna. And what's he doing? He's describing. And what's he describing? Especially where? Yes, who, what, when, where. Very good. Is this fun? Yes. Okay, now you remember. Okay, what's your second sentence? What's your second sentence now? The next line. Who's the subject? What's the subject?
We are going to second line of that.
Second line, yes, because I want you to get the idea of how to actively think, okay? What's the subject? Krishna is a subject again. What's he doing now? He's explaining. He's explaining. And the object is? His opulence. Boy, this is easy. Now you can remember that. Krishna's explaining his opulence. And then this starts out with a phrase at the beginning instead. Sometimes for variety, they'll put the prepositional phrase. Why? Why is he describing? To help generate further devotion where? In his devotees. So he has a purpose too. Okay? So who is it? Krishna. And what's he doing? He's explaining his what? His opulence is why? To help generate further devotion. He wants more devotion in his devotee. Okay, so turn to your neighbor and now tell him what the next point is in this summary. Okay? All right? Okay, Samohini, you can tell me. Krishna? Okay, Krishna does what? He explains to his devotees. Yeah, very good. So now you've got 2 sentences pretty much in your head, right? It's easier this way, right? Okay. All right. So he's described devotional service, and he's explaining his opulence. Now, in parentheses, what Shuka was asking is described. In chapter 7 and 9, he's explained knowledge of his energies. Right, this is important because it's different. His energies in 7 and 9. Okay, so this is different from 10. 10 are opulences. Okay, everybody found that easy? Okay, so this helps you with your reading now. Because reading, this book I have on speed reading, it's not just to read fast, which they do, but to read selectively and retain. You know, and when you're analyzing, when you're critically thinking, you'll remember more. And you'll have it in your head. It's not just something your eyeballs passed over. Okay, now Krishna is the origin of everything, 1 through 7. Okay, we have one sentence here. And what's the subject? Krishna. Again. He's important. And what's he doing again? He's explaining. And what's he explaining? How? More specifically, we'll do a who, what, when, where, why, and how. And thereby he's revealing what? As who? And as what? The source of all. And this is in chapter 10. He's explaining his opulence more specifically to reveal that he's saying, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so you got that one. All right, let's go to the Chatra Sloki now. Our first sentence, what is the subject? This is a little vague. Well, no. Essence. Essence of Bhagavad Gita is a preposition. So essence is the subject. And then the essence of what? Of Bhagavad Gita. And what is the verb? It's stated. This is passive. It's being stated. The essence of Bhagavad Gita is stated where? 8 to 11. Very good. Now, the next sentence. What's your subject? Opulences. Opulences. And we have passive voice again. What's the verb? Are summarized. Opulences are summarized where? In verse 8. All of Krishna's opulences are summarized in verse 8. Do you see now, is this easier to understand? You just apply those questions. Find your subject, find your verb, apply who, what, when, where, why, and how. So we know the essence of the Gita is in 8 through 11, and that the opulences are summarized in verse 8. Now, the next sentence. What's the subject here? This is a good grammar lesson. Devotees. Devotees. Right. And what's the verb? Develop. And what? What's your object? Love. Devotees develop love. For whom? For him. And then do what? All right. By knowing, and why? Because they what? They know Krishna's greatness. So they develop their love and they engage in devotional service by knowing his greatness. Next, subject. Devotees again. Yes, the next slug, the devotees, and what do they do? Relish. That's the verb. They relish. And what do they relish? Object? Discussions. About who? Right. And why do they do that? Their minds are fixed on him. They relish it. Right? And they cannot do what? They can't paint their lives without him. Verse what? 9. They can't live without him. I hope we're all getting to that point. Okay, we can't. They relish. Okay? This is verse 9. All right. Now, this is going to be a little tricky because it starts with a subordinate clause. Can you figure out what the subject is in the last one? It might think that way. But that starts with a subordinate clause. The subject is he. The first part is a subordinate clause. It means it can't stand alone. He reciprocates. Who's he? Krishna. And the verb is? How? By enlightening them where? Within the heart. Right. And when does he do that? When? When he sees their eagerness to serve them. I mean, you try those 6 words. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. And things start to just open up. You just crack the code. So he reciprocates by enlightening them where? Within the heart. When? He sees eagerness. He sees the eagerness to serve him. All right, now that's your chatur sloki, pretty much in a summary. Now Arjuna is going to accept Krishna's supremacy and then require more information, 12 through 18. Now, what is our subject of the next sentence? This is a pretty long one. Arjuna. And what is he doing? He becomes free. This is an intransitive verb. This is a state of being. He becomes to be verb. He becomes free of what? All doubts. Now active. What does he do? He accepts Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when does he do it? After hearing the essential 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita. So these verses are important. I become free of all doubts. I accept you as Supreme Personality. When? After I hear the chatur sloki. He then, next subject is what? He. And what does he do? Express. And what object is what? Eagerness. His eagerness to do what? To hear Krishna's glories. Why? So they could always think of him. Just try the who, what, when, where, why, and how. It's magic. It's really magic. You'll see. And then when you're writing, those of you who have to do essays, you'll see that you'll be able to write, making sure your sentences are packed. It's not just ABC. You're really writing rich sentences. Okay, so now he's requesting eagerness to hear the glories, so we can always think of him. And our final one, Krishna's opulences, are from where now? 19 to 42. All right, so now we have another sentence. Who's the subject? And what's he doing? And what's he describing? The most prominent among his limitless, all-pervading opulences. And why is he doing it? To respond to Arjuna's request. This is request. Response is request. Answer, request, and answer. Okay, now subject, next section. Krishna, and what's he doing? He lists. What does he list? Objects or groups of living entities. And he does one more thing. That he is their essence or chief member. Mostly chief member. Sometimes essence, but mostly chief member of all these groups. You see, that's the distinction between 7 and 9 and 10. He's the chief of all. After naming how many? 82. Yes. Now who's your subject? Krishna. And what's he going to do now? Summarize. And how's he going to summarize? Explaining these opulences simply indicate his glory. Okay, why? He pervades and supports. With how much? Right, so you got the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Actually, when you're diagramming, the way your son was doing, things just open up right away, and grammar becomes nothing. It becomes
Everything you're reading, you're saying, Papa, I'm diagramming in my mind.
Yeah, you're diagramming in your mind. I do that too, and I think of colors like that. So everybody knows how to do summaries now? You know how to do summaries. Okay. All right, let us now, we've pretty much covered our charts as far as the overview of the map. Sundari, you came in a little bit after we'd done 1 through 7, opulences. Let's all do those for her. Everybody just do the review, because she came in, she didn't get to see the little map. Put the 4 dots, because we quickly just showed 4 dots. This chapter has 42 verses, okay? And we put O here and O here. And what's the first O, everybody? Origin. The origin of everything. And this O is opulences. Okay, and the next is the number 4, the chatur sloki. And the next is A, Arjuna's request, acceptance and request. And this is 1 through 7, and this is 8 through 11, and this is 12 18, and this one is 19 to 42. So right away you have a mental address. And somebody keeps asking me, is it even Anuradha? She says, people challenge her. Why do we have to know that? And I mean, I tell people when Prabhupada was asked, why did you say Krishna is the name of God? And Prabhupada would answer, well, do you have another name for him? And the person would say no. But then the person would challenge me some more. But why do you say his name is Krishna? Prabhupada says, I'm telling you his name is Krishna. You're more advanced in understanding. Is there anything wrong with that? You know? So is there anything wrong with learning what we just learned? Is there anything wrong with it? Yet people, well, why do we need, it's this minimizing tendency. It is important because if you need to reference something, or you're preaching, Prabhupada said, know them like law books. That means I know where to find it. So if you're a devotee and somebody says, where's the chapter sloki, what would you tell him?
10, chapter 10,
Yeah, you're more advanced in knowledge. Is that a sin? No. It's actually an injunction to know it. You should know it. Okay? But surprisingly, people tend to mean, oh, why do I need to know that? That's just another mental burden. It is important to know it. If you know the Gita, it's your meditation. It's your meditation. And that way your mind is absorbed. And you're studying, Krishna says, you study this work of mine. You worship me by your intelligence. So knowing these things is not wrong. All right. So now let us take out our, I think we'll go to our taxonomies, charts. Out of the way here. I have one in color. On this one here, because it's in color, it's a little easier for you to see. This, by the way, is I had done mini mind maps which break down slokas some more. I won't go into that. I don't know, it's a little harder for you to read them in the black and white. But often what I would do is I would take each section of 7 slokas here, 4 slokas here, or whatever, and I would show which ones if there was another subdivision. But we won't go over that. Let's actually go to our list of words up through 18, okay? Because from 19 on, the other 2 taxonomies apply. So let us now just get our stepping stone words. So if you'll take your chart, I think I was going to jump into the taxonomy, but let's do our link words. These are the seed words which help us focus on the key point. So on the back of your mind maps, you have a chart that's the mind map on the back. It's harder in black and white, but maybe if you look at this one. And you'll see the color breaks, right? You're going to get 7 pink ones, and your 4 orange ones are your chapter sloki. And then you'll have here, from 12 through 18, you have 7. You have 747, 747. That's an airplane. 747. And then you have 24. Is it the 24 gurus? Okay, something to remember. 24 gurus from the 11th canto. 747 is an airplane. And in the 11th canto, there are 24 gurus. So now you know how big each of these sections is. Let's get the link words now. I've highlighted in black, bold, keyword. And then I've subdivided them also. So even with this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 subdivisions. Okay, so here, again, we're getting qualifications. So here we have the word friend. Remember, so many times Krishna will say, because you're not envious, because you're my friend. You know, Krishna's not going to reveal himself to the envious or the demoniac. He stays aloof. So friend is 10-1. Now from 2 and 3, one who knows that he's the source of everything You get the benefit. That person is undiluted and he becomes free of sin. One who knows Krishna, he's undiluted. So what's your first word? Friend. And then if you know he's what? He's the source of everything. Then you are what? Undiluted. And what's the benefit of that? You become free of sin. Just knowing that. Just knowing that. It's just amazing how Krishna is so kind. All right. So the first break you have is friend. And the next break you have source and undiluted. Now, the next one, he starts to give qualities. And these are beautifully described, defined by Prabhupada in the purports. So we have many, many qualities in 10.4 and 5. So you see, I focused on forgiveness because that's considered a very important quality. Forgiveness. And then the word qualities is emphasized in 5. Forgiveness is in 4 and forgive, FF. And 5 is all these qualities, right? He's the source of them. They're created by him alone. In number 6, even the great sages, the 7 sages and the 4 before them, meaning the Kumaras, cannot know him. Now this is a study question. Why can they not know him? Why did the sages and the Kumaras not know Krishna? Why can anybody not know him? Because you can't know your origin. It was before you. Right? Like your little girl cannot know everything about you before she became your little girl. Right? Because that preceded her experience. So everything that's coming from Krishna cannot know him because he's the origin of even the sages and like that. So 10.6 is sages. Now, he's warming us up for the Chatra Shloki. Those who are factually convinced of this opulence engage in unalloyed devotional service. So he's leading us now into the Chatra Shloki. So let's go over the first one. He's what? What is Arjuna? He's a friend. So Krishna reveals himself to that. That's a qualification, a friend. In the next 2, he's the source. And if you know that, you're undiluted. And what's the benefit? You're free of sin. All right. Now, in 4 and 5 and 6, they're another group. What's 4? 4 is forgiveness. And 5 is what? Qualities. He's listing now. He says, I'm the source of all these qualities. And even the 7 sages and the 4 before them do not know my origin. What to speak of us? So Prabhupada comments, these tiny little minds, these mental speculators are trying by the ascending process to understand the absolute, and the great sages cannot do it. It is completely absurd. They'll never, by the ascending process, understand Krishna. So your last one, 10.7, what's the result? You'll become convinced. And when you're convinced, what will you do? You engage in service. You want to serve somebody who's great. Okay? So let's see if you can do, if I say, I'll read a word, and on your slates, don't look at your chart. You write the number. Okay? Okay, I'll start with an easy one. Friend. What's your number for that? 1. 10-1. All right. My dear friend, for your benefit. Everybody got it? 1. All right. What about forgiveness? Where's forgiveness? It's one of many. For forgiveness. For forgiveness. Okay. How about qualities? 5. Okay. What about being convinced? 10-7. Okay. What about source? 2. Source. Okay. What about undiluted? 3. Right. 3 is undiluted. Okay. And how about those sages? The 7 and the 4. Where's that? 6. Okay. 6. The 6 sages down here. Okay, let's try that really quickly, one again. All right, how about source? 2. Write it on your slate. If you write, it'll be better. You'll memorize. Because the minute you write, it's a samskar. That's why writing is so powerful, because it's an impression. Just the mind doesn't go as deep, but the hand, you've moved the body and you see it. Kinesthetic plus visual. What about friend? 1. Yes, that's good. Everybody got friend. 1. How about convinced? 7. What about source? 2. The source of everything, right. And what about, did I say forgiveness? We'll try that again. 4. That's a good one, forgiveness. Such an important one. And what about qualities? We'll do those together. 5, 4 and 5. All these qualities. What about the sages? 6. And what about undiluted? 3. Yes, you're free of sin. If you know this, you're free of. Nice thing to know. You guys are all freed of sin. You know this now. And convinced again? 7. Okay, friends, source, undiluted, forgiveness, qualities, sages, and convinced. Why don't you try them with your neighbor in a row without looking? See how many you can get. See what you can do. You too. See if you can do it. Because then the verses just open up. You've got the seed, and they just open up. Okay? Okay, you want to tell me what's your first one? One is friend. Friend, okay. 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 For forgiveness, right? Not forgetfulness. You don't want to do that. Forgiveness, okay. Okay.
5 is qualities.
Okay.
6 is sages.
Okay. Convinced. Yeah, pretty good. Okay. Now you've got your verses, right? Okay. It's not hard, is it? It's not hard. Okay. How'd you do, Rasamrita? Okay? You got them, huh? Very good. Now this again, somebody says, well, do I need to know that? But it doesn't hurt, does it? It's a meditation. This is a nice meditation. Think about it the next time you're peeling potatoes or washing the floor. Friend, okay. Source, undiluted. Okay. Forgiveness, qualities, sages, and convinced. Okay. You'll feel a lot better about reading the Gita. You know. Okay. Should we try the Chaturshloki now? Yeah. Okay, so we have 4 key words. And we have double stars on these. These are memory verses. Okay. So in the 8th one, the word is emanates. 8. Everything he's repeating now. Everything emanates from him. Yeah, from him. And number 9, the word is thoughts. So number 8 is what? Emanates. And 9 is thoughts. He's telling you about the thoughts of his devotees. And number 10, yes, this is the benefit of serving. Krishna gives you the understanding how to get to him. It's by revelation. You can't force your way into the kingdom of God. And the last word is what? Mercy. Everything is mercy. To show them special mercy. So we have emanates, then thoughts, and then we have understanding, right? And then the last one is mercy, mercy, right? Emanates, thoughts, understanding, and mercy. All right. So here, we'll do signals for the whole thing, and I underlined all the key words. So here Krishna is saying, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. He's what? The source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything what? Emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this. Engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Okay, very simple. Okay, this is the result. When you know that, you engage in full devotional service and worship with your heart. Now, this next one is quite beautiful. It's why we're all here together. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Yeah, I just sort of go like the devotees just like to talk about Krishna. They don't talk about the latest political scandal in, the parliament or something like that. The mundane people talk about, like croaking frogs, what takes them to death, but talks about Krishna and give you eternal life. Okay, now, this is a beautiful verse 10:10. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Such a nice verse. It's just a matter of love and constant. If the love is not there, it's not really bhakti. It's the mood is so important. Bhakti means love, loving devotion, and constant and unalloyed. And then the last one, let's just say somebody's not a scholar. He can't, but still, Krishna does what? To show them special mercy. I what? Dwelling in their hearts. Destroy. With the shining lamp of knowledge. The darkness born of ignorance. So he enlightens from within. He's kind. You see, a person does not necessarily, if he does not have the ability to be a scholar, that doesn't exclude him from Krishna's mercy. All Krishna has to do is see sincerity. So those are your nice chatur sloki. So emanates, thoughts, and understanding are similar. And mercy. Okay, so on your slate, I'll give you the word and you write the number. All right, what's the number for mercy? 11. And what's the number for emanates? 8. And what about understanding? 10, yes. And 9 is thoughts, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay? Emanates, thoughts, understanding, mercy. Now, let's go down our last list here. This is 12 through 18. This is 7 words here. And this isn't so hard either. I highlighted the word Arjuna's really glorifying Krishna. After hearing the Chatur Sloki, he's saying, you are the eternal, the supreme, the Godhead of the Devas. He's really realizing you're everything. So I highlighted the word what? Supreme. He's convinced. Now, after hearing the Chatur Sloki, Arjuna's acceptance, and he's convinced. Now we have a plus, and it's not my opinion. It's also Narada and a lot of other people. Narada, and you get Asita, Devala, Vyas. These are not ordinary personalities. They say it's true. People may say, oh yeah, Arjuna, Krishna's your friend, and that's why you're flattering him. No. Narada, Devala, Asita, Vyas. They say that's sloka what? 13. So 12, he's listing all of his qualities, and in 13 he's telling who else says it. Narada, Asita, Devala, Vyas. They say it in 13. Now in 14 he's going to say, I totally what? Accept. Everything you say is true. He's just not questioning. He's going to accept it. And then he says, only you know, the word you know yourself. Even they say Krishna doesn't know himself. He's so great, even Krishna can't understand the limit of his greatness. He's beyond our understanding. Okay. And here he's saying more about him. O supreme origin of all, Lord of all lords, God of gods. It's getting very, very dramatic now. He's just like, whoa. Okay. Then, from 10:16 Please tell me of my what? Your what? Opulences. Your opulences. And how you pervade this world. And then he said, how shall we think of you? Because we're supposed to think of Krishna without interruption. So this helps us when we know this. How does he pervade this world? So think is what number? 17. And the last thing he's saying, describe. In detail, DD, describe in detail your mystic power. Because he said, I never am satiated. I never get tired of hearing the nectar of your words. Now you can hear other stories once or twice, but you'll be bored with the story after a while. But Krishna's opulences, you will not get bored. It's limitless. Okay, so let's do these first 4 and then the last 3. Supreme is what number? 12. And then 13 is what? Narada. And then he's going to do what? He's going to accept whatever you've said. And then he says, only you will know. That is number 15. Only you know the extent of your potencies, O Supreme Person, Arjun. Supreme, Narada, accept, and know. Okay, I'll read the word and you write the number on the board for those 4. How about, what's the number for accept? 14. 14. Okay. I totally accept. This is a very important verse. I totally accept everything you say. What about supreme? 12. Yes, the first one in this section. Because this is now where he's seeing, after the Chatusloki, I know what you are. Where's Narada? 13, yes. And who else is in there? What other sages? Asita, Devala, Vyas. Right. 13. And now what's unique about Krishna? Only he can do what? He can know. Only he knows his glories. Where's that? 15, yes. So you have Supreme, Narada, accept, and know. Only you know. Okay, let's do the last ones. This is very easy. Opulence, think, and then describe. Right? Please tell me of your opulences by which you pervade. So that's 16 opulences. He's asking now in these last. This is his request. Here his acceptance. These first 4 he's accepting. But now he's going to ask a favor. Please tell me how we should think of you. So in 16 he's going to say, please tell of your opulences by which you pervade this universe. How shall we think of you in 17? And the last one in this section is what? Describe. Please describe in detail. DD. Please describe in detail this mystic power. Because I never get tired. I'm never satiated in hearing about you. Okay, so let's try the numbers on opulences, think, and describe. Are you ready for this little quick quiz? All right. What's 1018? Describe. All right. And what about think? 17. And what about opulences? 16. Now let's go to the first part, his acceptance. What about supreme? 12. And what about know? 15. And what about Narada? 13. And what about acceptance? 14. Very good. So you've got those. Okay, turn to your neighbor. See if you can do all 7. This is going to be a pretty tough test. Okay, how's Neela doing over there? He's got all 7 words. He's got 7 words, Neela. Okay. Supreme Narada. You know about it like that. Accept. Okay, accept. Opulences. Think, describe. Okay, you want to try it? Okay. 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 No, and 16 is opulences. And is described. Right, very good. You got it. Now you know your slokas. Very good. Is this easy? This is nice, huh? You're smiling, huh? It just helps you. It just helps your meditation because you've been actively involved in this, right? Nice meditation. It's a meditation. It's a nice meditation. So now if you were going to tell people about chapter 10, you could say 42 verses, and the first 7 are about Krishna's the origin of everything, and next chapter Sloki, then Arjuna's acceptance and request, and his opulences from 18 to 42. I'm sorry, 19 to 42. On the front, I was trying each time to increase maps, improve them. These are study questions that come from the Bhakti Shastri. So there's something you could meditate on it. There were 4 questions. From the first lesson, I chose, why is Krishna misunderstood even by the sages and the demigods? Because they can't know their origin, right? And summarize verse 10:7 plus purport. So 7, if you remember, this one was becoming convinced. And Prabhupada stresses that you should not neglect to know Krishna's opulences. It strengthens your service. Okay? And then there's lesson number 2. Explain Lord Chaitanya's analogy of a seed. And that's the Bhakti Lata creeper going up to the spiritual world. And define and describe Buddha Yoga in 10.10. And here in 10.10, we have by serving Krishna with love. Right? Krishna gives you the intelligence to understand him. And then the last one, why does Arjuna ask Krishna to explain his opulences? And how is Krishna the beginning, middle, and end of all? And then lesson 4, explain the word asamurdva. That's a famous word. Asamurdva. Asa means nothing is equal to or greater than. Asamurdva. Nothing can be equal to Krishna, he wouldn't be God, and nothing can be greater than him. So what's that word again? Asamurdva. Very important word, asamurdva, used a lot. Asamurdva. You can't be, nothing can be equal to, he can't be God. If something's equal to him, then there's no point of something being superior. And if there's something greater, then he can't be the greatest. So Krishna is asamurdva. Okay? Asamurdva means, asam means nothing can be equal to, and murdva means greater than. So the meaning, right, nothing can be equal to, then that disqualifies the definition of God, supreme. God has to be greater than anything else, right, and nothing can even be equal to him. Asamurdva, description of the supreme. Okay, so ready for some fun charts now? Okay, let's do our taxonomy because that's fun. There are 2. Use one of the black and white ones because my other one I didn't pull out. If I can, I'll just get one of these. I just need the one that's got the columns. No, this one is the slokas. That's a little hard to read. You have a taxonomy that has the animals and the birds. You didn't get that one. Oh, you didn't get that one. Oh, no. Let's give you that. That's the easy one. A taxonomy is a classification. That's the chart. Here we go. Yeah. Give everybody one of these. Okay. So this is fun. And I do have the color version. Okay? You're getting one more sheet. Okay? Okay? Yeah. I even have the color version in here. I didn't see it. Okay. Okay? So Mohini's giving you this one. Okay? It's a taxonomy. And this one's very easy. It's good for children. Because, 82 items and it gets to be a long list. But if you break up anything, it makes it easy. Okay? So you all have your taxonomy now?
Yeah.
Taxonomy is a word that means classification. Like in science, they'll give a taxonomy for species. Certain animals are this species, reptiles, or whatever. Okay, sorry, I must have closed the page on that one. There's still also one more handout. There's another handout that's very detailed, but everybody get this one at least, right? Okay. Let's start with the easy ones first. A, B, animals. Of his opulences, we see how many animals? 4. Okay, I think even Neela can do this one. Neela can do this one, right? Yes. What do you see, Neela? Do you see a horse, elephant, cow, and a lion? Right? I think even Sugopi could do this one, right? This would be easy for her. Horse, elephant, cow, and lion. And what are the names of them? Uchashvara. Yes, this was churned from the ocean of nectar. The ocean of nectar also produced poison that Shiva drank. But the horse and the elephant, Airavata, came from the ocean of nectar. So we have Uchashvara and Airavata. And how about cows? Surabi, endless supply of milk. And what's about the beast? The lion. So these are Krishna. He's Uchashvara, he's Airavata, he's Surabi, and he's the lion. 4. Now birds have no competition. Garuda, he holds it all. Garuda. What about fish? Just one, the shark. Very dangerous animal. Of the fishes, Krishna is the shark. 2 snakes. Vasuki and Ananta. Right, Vasuki. That's the serpent that ties up like Bali Maharaj, Vasuki. They use the Vasuki also to churn. He has a lot of functions. And Ananta. Many hooded nagas, Ananta. So we have 2 snakes, 4 animals, 1 bird, 1 fish, and 2 snakes. Let's look at plants. Because this is like a science class. This is your biology class, right? What about trees? Banyan, such a big tree, and it can spread for miles, right? Its roots go down and make more trees. And what else do we have? Seed. He's the generating seed of everything. Of everything. Right? Of all existences. Trees, animals, birds, butterflies. So you have 2, banyan tree and then the seed that generates all existence. Now, let's look at the material creation. Let's start with the lights. He's the sun. And the other light is, yes, of the stars, he's the moon. He's the moon. He's the sun, he's the moon. What about mountains? Meru. So you have moon and Meru. What about bodies of water? Ocean. Yes, something big. And what about immovable things? Himalaya. Right, because some mountains move. Some mountains move, but Himalayas, they don't move. And what about rivers? Ganges. And what about purifiers? Wind. The wind. I always thought the sun was the purifier of the water, but here it says the wind was the purifier. I'll hold up the color one so you can see that a little better. Okay, so 4 animals, 1 bird, 1 fish, 2 snakes, 2 plants, and then you have sun and moon, and you have mountains, Meru, and you have the ocean, and you have water again, rivers, Himalayas, and the wind. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So turn to your neighbor and tell them what are the 4 animals. 4 animals. Yeah. What are the 4 animals? Okay. Yeah. Okay, you guys like it. Yeah. Can he get these too? He might be able. And what about birds? Garuda and fish, the shark. And what about snakes? And Ananta, right? Ananta. And how about plants? Banyan and seeds. Very good. Now you want to try material creation. What's in the creation? Right? The sun, moon, Meru, ocean, right? Wind, Himalaya, and river. Ganges, Jai, the river. Very good. You got those. Very good. This is easy, huh? All of these opulences. And there's a sloka reference too, where you can find that. Everybody got the easy ones. These are the easy ones. Now qualities, there's a section which are feminine qualities, but it doesn't mean it's only ladies. These are just considered feminine. And a man can have these too. So we have 3 F's. Fame, fortune, and fine speech. Fame, fortune, and fine speech. And then MISP. Memory, if one has a good memory. If he's intelligent, steadfast, and patience. So having a good memory, these are good feminine qualities. Good memory, intelligence, steadfast, and patience. This is a good quality. Fame, it says actually in the Bhagavatam, lack of patience means lack of goodness. People are impatient because they're not in the mode of goodness. If people are impatient, that means passion or ignorance. Okay. So patience is a very important quality. Okay. What about the others? Now he's splendid, of splendor, of splendid. He's victory, adventure, and strength, and wisdom. So these are just straightforward. Of splendid, he's splendor. He's victory, adventure, strength of the strong, and wisdom. All right, now some other ones here. The living force and everything. And he's also the mind. Of senses, he's the mind. Of weapons, he's the thunderbolt. Of letters, he's first letter, A. And of all-devouring death. I should have put that with time. That's part of the time. He's all-devouring death. Okay, so turn it over now. We'll quickly run through these. How about incarnations? He's the super soul in everybody, the Paramatma. And of Adityas, he's Vishnu. The Adityas are godly. The Adityas are the Daityas. But he's Vishnu of the Adityas. And of wielders of weapons, he's who? That's coming up soon, Ramnomi. And of perfected beings, he's Kapila. And of sages, he's Vyas. All right, what about more sages over here? Of sages, he's Brigu and Narada. Narada, the best of the devotees. Other important people. Of priests, who's an important priest? Brihaspati. And of descendants of Vrishni, Vasudev. Now Prabhupada writes in the purport that here Vasudev means Balaram, because Vasudev is like an expansion of Krishna. Krishna is also known as Vasudev, but he said in this case it means Balaram. But when I didn't know that when I did the drawing, I meant Vasudev the father. Okay, Arjuna of the Pandavas, he's Arjuna. And of great thinkers, he's Shukracharya. And of ancestors, Aryama. Aryama. What about demigods? You got the main ones. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and Yama, the main ones. He's the main ones, okay? And what about demons? Prahlad. Yeah, he's a demon, but he's not really. He's a devotee. He's all by himself there. None of his other family members made it on the list. Just Prahlad's unique. What about scriptures? Samaveda. It says that the poetry is so musical, so beautiful, Samaveda. And then the Brihat Sama is especially beautiful, the Brihat Sama. What about mantras? Om and Japa. And about hymns, poetry? Gayatri. Gayatri. Now time, we've got a lot of references to time. Of subduers, he is time. Inexhaustible, he is. And of seasons, he is. And months, he is. Yeah, November, December, when they cut the wheat. They cut the wheat, the grains. Yes, those are considered auspicious because they gather, they harvest. Okay? So did you have fun with your taxonomy? All right. Yes, the November, December, those auspicious months. But spring is the best season because of the flowers. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. Okay? So, very quickly, let us now just run through. This chart will also help you. You can see them all now according to Sloka, and the black and white is very difficult because it drops out. But basically, the taxonomy is easier. But here you can see starting with 19 and on the back ending with 42, you can find where they are. Okay? So most important, he says in 19. Oh, you can just have those bags. There's no problem.
No.
Yeah.
20 books.
Oh, 20 books. Oh, this is for the books. Okay, so I need to give you change.
No change.
Change. I probably have it here. Okay? So here we have, he's saying here, his opulence are limitless in 19. So now, the most important thing, he's the super soul in 20. And then we've got, here we find Vishnu, the sun, Marichi, and the moon. In 21. In 22, we see the Samaveda, Indra, mind, and the living force. In 23, we see Shiva, Kuvera. I don't have everybody in my chart. And Meru of mountains. Okay, thank you for coming. You got your prasadam? Okay, thank you so much. And in 24, we see the ocean. Oh, don't forget your bags, yeah. Brihaspati and Kartikeya. I didn't put Kartikeya, and sometimes I listed just some you'll see on your charts. I just wrote them. I didn't do a picture for everybody. You see Brigu, Om, Japa, and the Himalayas in the 25th verse. In the 26th verse, you'll see the banyan tree, Narda, Chittaratra of the Gandharvas, and Kapila. In the 27th verse, you'll get two animals, Uchaisrava, Airavata, and you get of men, he is the monarch. In 28, of weapons, he's what? Of cows, he's? And of causes for procreation? Kandarpa. And of serpents, he's? Vasuki. In 29, he is? Ananta. Of the serpents, of aquatics, he's? Varuna. And of departed ancestors, Aryama. And law, dispensers of law. Yamaraj, right. And in 30, of the demons, he's? Subduers, he is? Of beasts, he is the? And birds, he is? Garuda. So this is your cross-reference. In 31, of purifiers, he's the? And of weapons, wielder of weapons, he is? Of fishes, he's the? And of rivers, he is the Ganges. And of the creation, he's the beginning, end, and middle. Right. And of all the sciences, he's the science of the self. And of the logicians, he's the conclusive truth. In 33, he's the letter what? A, right. And the dual compound. Ram and Krishna. Two words are joined by hyphen. That's a dual word. Inexhaustible. And of creators, he's... What about feminine qualities? Fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. These are feminine qualities. What about all-devouring and the generating principle? He's the seed. Right. In verse 35, which of the Vedas? The Brihadsama Veda. They say it's the most beautiful in terms of poetry, Brihadsama. And what about poetry? The Gayatri. And what about seasons? Margashisha. That's November, December. And seasons? Spring. Yes. Flowers and the weather's nice. Now what about gambling? Cheats. Right. That's the most cheating of all the occupations. Of splendid, he is? No, splendor. He's splendor. Okay. And then he's victory, adventure, and he's strength of the strong. All right. In number 37, of the Vrishnis, he's Vasudeva. Of the Pandavas, he's of sages, he's of thinkers, he's Ushana. That's Shukracharya. And 38, of chastisement, he is for the lawless, punishment. And of to those who seek victory, he is morality. Of secret things, he is, and of the wise, he is wisdom. Okay, and 39, he's the generating seed of all existence. Everything, moving or non-moving, cannot exist without him, right? And then we've got Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Now, there is no end in 40 to his infinite opulences. In 41, he says, please know that all opulent and beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a spark of famous verse. It's just a spark of my splendor. Now in 42, he's saying, okay, I told you all this. No need to know it all. What need is there for this detailed knowledge? With a single what? Fragment of myself, I, and the entire universe. So that is chapter 10. Wonderful chapter. Okay? Did you all like that? All righty. So now you have some fun charts to go through. And those of you who are doing your study questions, try that. So we now have the flight attendant ready. He's all smiling. This is what he's been waiting for now. All class. Very good, Neela. Very good. You can see devotional service is the constitutional condition of the living entity. How happy when you're doing service. He's conditionally happy. He's so blissful. Well, I hope you all learned a little something today. Okay, and you can try to remember some of your link words. Did everybody get one, Neela? You made sure everybody got You can take an extra one for Sugopi. You want to give her one too?